Hello everyone, today is Thursday, August 1st, Eastern Time. Welcome to today's episode of Solitary Horizon, China Unveiled. I'm your host, Soliton. This is our channel's debut, and I want to take a moment to explain why I decided to start this YouTube channel and the story behind it. As a longtime social media enthusiast, I've always enjoyed sharing my thoughts across various platforms. But I never really considered launching a channel of my own. My experiences are deeply tied to the changes in China. Having lived in China for almost half my life, I've gained a profound understanding and first-hand experience of the country. Over the past 20 years, I've witnessed China's incredible economic growth and seen my own career take off. However, since the outbreak of COVID-19 in 2020, my life took a dramatic turn, and many things became quite unpredictable. When the pandemic hit in early 2020, it plunged the world into unprecedented chaos. As a factory owner in China, I faced immense pressure. On one hand, the pandemic threatened to shut down the factory I'd worked so hard to build. On the other hand, it kept me separated from my family far away, leaving me feeling helpless. Under the dual strain of personal and professional pressures, I made a major decision. I left the city where I had lived and worked for nearly 2 decades and moved to the United States to start a new chapter in my life. During this time, I've seen many changes. From being in lockdown in China due to the pandemic to starting anew in the US, both my lifestyle and work have undergone a complete overhaul. For a long period during China's strict pandemic controls, I couldn't return to China. As the pandemic eased and China reopened, things seemed to be returning to normal, although travel to China remained challenging. Each time I returned post-pandemic, I noticed subtle changes in China. Many of these changes, from my perspective, seem negative and even contrary to historical trends, raising concerns about China's future development. In recent visits, I've noticed a significant shift in China's relationship with the world, especially with Western countries like the US. This change can be described as decoupling or drawing a line, particularly evident in areas like economics, technology, and culture. In the economic realm, China is increasingly showing a tendency towards inward focus amidst globalization. Official media constantly preach about continuing reform and opening up, yet actions seem to contradict these slogans. China's policies appear to be leaning towards self-isolation, carefully controlling interactions with the outside world. This inward trend not only potentially hampers globalization but also challenges international cooperation. In the tech sector, the tension between China and Western countries, especially the US, is growing. The decoupling of technology between China and the US is becoming a prominent trend. The US has imposed various restrictions on Chinese high-tech companies, posing significant challenges for China in advanced tech fields. Meanwhile, China is accelerating its efforts to innovate independently, trying to reduce reliance on external technology. This tech decoupling impacts not only bilateral tech cooperation but also the global tech supply chain. Culturally, exchanges between China and the West are also facing obstacles. The Chinese government's control over foreign cultural exchanges is becoming stricter, with many politically sensitive topics being heavily censored. This cultural decoupling makes it harder for China to engage with the outside world and complicates cultural understanding between China and other countries. This phenomenon affects not only cultural communication but also the international community's perception of China. Another concern is the state of China's economy. Since Xi Jinping came to power, there has been a significant shift in economic policy, particularly worsening after the pandemic. Contrary to expectations of a strong recovery, China's economy is showing clear signs of decline. High unemployment, sluggish economic growth, shrinking trade, and a collapsing real estate market all severely impact economic stability. As the world's second-largest economy, China's economic troubles affect not just the domestic scene but also have global repercussions. Instability in the global supply chain and fluctuations in international markets are closely tied to China's economic woes. In my recent observations, another noteworthy aspect is the change in social sentiment in China. During the pandemic, social life in China was severely restricted, and the post-pandemic economic recovery has been slower than expected. This slow recovery has led to growing dissatisfaction among the public, contrasting sharply with the optimistic mood during China's previous economic boom. Especially in the 10 to 15 years before the pandemic, China's economy was on the rise, and society was generally positive. Now, the situation is concerning. The rise in public dissatisfaction and unease reflects the broader economic and social difficulties China is facing. How the Chinese government handles this social dissatisfaction is also worth noting. By controlling media and information, the government channels social anxiety and discontent towards opposition with the West, particularly the US. This propaganda strategy somewhat masks domestic issues but also exacerbates international tensions. By redirecting public dissatisfaction towards external adversaries, the government aims to stabilize the domestic situation. However, this approach does not address the root problems and may lead to more international friction and conflict. This policy direction is risky, potentially affecting international relations and China's long-term development. As a Chinese expat now living in the US, I remain deeply concerned about China's development, especially its relationship with the world and interactions between China and the US. I hope this channel will serve as a platform to share my observations and insights, providing a window into China's current situation and fostering discussions. As a first-generation Chinese immigrant adapting to life and work in a new country, this is both an opportunity and a challenge. I also hope to share my experiences and thoughts about life and career in the US through this channel. In future videos, I'll delve deeper into observations and analyses of China's economy, society, and China-US relations. I aim to provide a clear perspective to help you understand the complex relationships between China and the world. I also hope this channel becomes a space for discussion, where you can freely share your viewpoints and ideas. Through these conversations, we can better grasp the future direction of China, the development of China-US relations, and China's interaction with the world, while also navigating our own lives and careers. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to interacting with you on this channel. I hope you enjoy the content and actively participate in the discussions, sharing your thoughts and insights. Your engagement is incredibly important to me and will help us explore and understand this ever-changing world together. Thanks again, and see you in the next episode.